Most guys struggle with texting not because they're boring or because they're ugly, but because no one ever taught us how attraction actually works over text. And I know that because I spent the last 11 years teaching men dating and texting. Plus, I've shared proven texting strategies with over 3 million men worldwide. And I personally helped thousands of men go from ignored to getting dates and relationships. But before this, I've been ghosted and ignored more times than I can count. And I genuinely thought I just wasn't good enough. But here is what changed everything. I built a proven texting system that removes the guesswork. And once you understand how attraction works over text, results become predictable. And that is regardless of your looks, your background, your experience, or the girl that you're talking to. And look, by the end of this video, you will understand first why you're not boring. You've just been texting women in a way that gets you ignored. And then I will show you the exact word for word texting script that makes her instantly reply and turn her attention into real attraction. And so let's get into it. And so the biggest mistake that guys make when texting a girl is starting with, hey, hello, how are you? What are you up to? What's up? And it's actually not these messages are bad. It's just that they force her to do all the emotional work. And she has to figure out if you're any different from the other 15 guys sending her the exact same conversation starters. And whether this conversation is even worth her time. And when she has 10 to 20 other conversations competing for her attention, that's when you get ignored. And these messages fail for 3 main reasons. First, they're predictable. You blend into her inbox. Second, they are logical. There is no emotional engagement at all. And third, they signal low agency. Like you're waiting for her to lead the interaction. And when that happens, attraction dies. And she stops picturing you as the fun and confident guy she wants to meet. And instead, you come across as needy, desperate, reactive, and forgettable. And most guys don't lose because they are bad at texting. They lose because they are passive. And look, passive texting has nothing to do with your personality. It is actually a texting skill issue. And look, I want to be real with you. When I first started trying to figure this out, I remember staring at my phone, rewriting the same exact message over and over, and trying not to mess it up. I thought it was normal. It's fine to overthink. Then I'd hit send. And you know what? I get left on red and I get ignored. And I remember actually thinking, maybe this works for other guys, just not for me. Maybe I'm wired differently. I even told myself, if she was really attracted, anything I say should work. And I remember this moment, sitting there, phone in my hand, feeling embarrassed and very anxious. And actually, that's when it hit me. I wasn't unlucky. And actually, I wasn't unattractive. I was just passive. And I was reacting instead of leading. And once I stopped guessing and starting using a predictable texting system, replies stopped feeling random. And that's when I realized you don't need to be more interesting. You just need a texting system. And so here is the texting framework that changed everything for me and for so many men I've coached. Once they understood this, conversations stopped feeling random and attraction became predictable. Before I show you the word for word scripts, you need this foundation because every line works for a reason. Now think of texting like a triangle. One side is missing, attraction collapses. There are 3 elements. First, which is the curiosity. And look, every message needs an open loop, something slightly unfinished that pulls her forward instead of closing the interaction. And that's what creates an emotional hook instead of relying on logical back and forth. Second side is focus on her. The message is not about proving yourself, explaining or impressing. It naturally redirects the spotlight onto her. And when she talks about herself, she invests. And remember, actually, people love to talk about themselves. And when she invests, attraction grows. And third is predictability. Most men text in a safe, predictable patterns because honestly, they fear rejection. And the thing about predictability is that it kills tension. And when there is no tension, actually there is no attraction. And if she knows exactly what's coming next, the conversation becomes boring. But when curiosity, focus on her, and predictability work together, you stop reacting and you start leading. And that's when conversations shift. And now that you understand the triangle principle, let me show you what this actually looks like in real life. Starting with the opener. Instead of sending her something predictable, as we said, like, hey, what's up? Start with something intriguing. You can say, hey, and then you mention her name, and then you say, can I be honest? And now here's why it works. It opens a loop. It makes her curious, and it will immediately put the spotlight on her. Also, it doesn't feel like every other message sitting in her inbox. And so it makes you stand out. Here's a real example from one of my private community members using the exact opener. Now, she will usually reply with something like, yeah, sure. And this is where most guys mess it up. Instead of explaining yourself here, what you need to do is that you need to tease her by saying something like this. To be honest, you seem like a perfect mix between naughty and innocent. I weirdly like that. And so here is a similar example that you can see here on the screen. Now, let's say that she doesn't reply, and it happens that she ghosts or she doesn't see your message. Wait at least 48 hours, and instead of double texting something needy and saying, hey, did you see my message? Hi, please reply. You should flip the frame. You can say something like this. I get it if you're more of a reserved type of girl. And this actually works for a few reasons. First, it's playful. And second, it resets the tone without lowering your value. And by the way, this is only the first step. The full texting sequence is what consistently got my student from the first text all the way to numbers and real dates. And I've included the full script, including exactly what to say next, plus all my best performing messages for any texting situation, and all that inside the Confident Texter private community. And that is also where you can get feedback from me while applying every single thing. And I've added the link in the description below for you to check it out. And so now you learned how to stop getting ignored, how to get her intrigued. But here is the real question for you. Once she replies, can you actually build real attraction? Because most guys get the reply, but then lose it. And that is why you need to watch this next video on flirting secrets girls can't resist. I'll see you there.